Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
If you're gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 264 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know there are lots of choices out there of podcasts and things to be doing right now, so I really do appreciate you making my podcast one of those things. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would love to hear from you. I would love you to take a screenshot or a selfie of you listening to this and tag me on social media, because that would be super cool to get to know you a little bit like you get to know me a little bit every single episode. I would really love for you to do the Big Small Business survey as well. I know I'm asking a lot. I'm asking for selfies and screenshots, and now I'm asking you to do a survey. But if you could go to thatsmallbusinesssurvey.com and fill out that survey by the end of October 2023, I would be absolutely so grateful for that. Of course, you can find the show notes for everything I talk about on this particular episode at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/264. And before we get into this week's episode, which is all around Facebook ads, you are going to love this episode. It's been a while since I've talked about Facebook ads. This is a cracker. But before we get there, did you get a chance to listen to last week's episode where I was talking about my favorite AI tools? I'm always adding and testing more AI tools, but last week I shared 3 of my favorites that I use pretty much every day in my business. So if you didn't listen to episode 263, head back there when you're finished here. And of course, just a heads up, I am running my 4-week email marketing masterclass program again in November. I had a client reach out. He really wanted to do it in November. So I'm like, right, I'll do it. Let's pick a date. And now I'm opening it up to everybody else. If you missed out in September doing my 4-week email marketing program, and email marketing is something you would like to get right for 2024, then maybe this is your chance. The link for that is at in the show notes, but of course you can find it at bit.ly/email masterclass with Jen. Okay, on to today's episode. My guest is a Facebook ads expert. They are pretty hard to come by, I have to tell you. So I was stoked when Bianca agreed to come on my podcast and talk about Facebook ads. Bianca has her own podcast called New School of Marketing, and I was her guest on her episode 129. So go to the show notes, find that link, or go to your favorite place where you're listening to this podcast and type in New School of Marketing and look for 129. Look for her episode 129 talking to me. But Bianca McKenzie helps entrepreneurs by taking the stress out of launching, generating targeted leads, making sales, and growing business through Instagram and Facebook advertising. She's also a mum to a cheeky little girl, which apparently is a lot like her, Bianca herself, and a sweet little boy. She also has 2 fur babies, and if her husband would let her, she'd have a menagerie of other animals too. You are singing my song there. I'm not sure my husband's going to be quite as good of holding you back as maybe yours has been, Bianca. My menagerie is growing. She's super down to earth, and you are going to love everything she has to say around Facebook marketing, Facebook ads, what to do, what not to do, what's working, what's not working. And I just can't wait to let you listen to all the gold in this conversation. So here we go. Here's my conversation with Bianca. Bianca, I'm super excited to have you come on today because we are talking about a subject that I think my audience is going to love hearing about, but also something I haven't spoken about for a little while in Facebook and Instagram ads. But before we get started there, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. I can't wait to dig into this with you. I think this is something that people are really curious about, and I know you're just going to have lots of information and tips and gold for everyone. But for my audience who may not have come across you or may like to learn a little bit more about you, can you tell us about what you do and who you are and all of those fun bits?
Yeah. Well, what do I do? It's more of a what do I not do? No. I do a lot of things, but mostly Facebook and Instagram advertising for course creators, coaches, and service providers. I also do a little bit of marketing mentoring in Tasmania, where I live, through a government's support grant. So I work with a business down in Launceston. I'm their mentor on the Northwest Coast.
Ooh.
I also look after my 2 children when they are at home. And my 2 animals, who are my dogs, who are, I think, on the couch behind my computer. So hopefully they stay quiet. But yeah, mostly Facebook and Instagram advertising is what I do most of the day.
So how did you get into that? Where has that come from? What's your story?
Accidental.
Like all good businesses, I love it.
I don't think anyone goes in with the I want to become a Facebook ad manager. I studied international business and marketing at university, and so I was in marketing roles, but yeah, I'm quite creative. So I had all these little side hustles, and at some point I was testing out some Facebook and Instagram ads for my own business. I was part of a group online, not quite a mastermind, but yeah, like a business group. And they're like, oh, can you help me with it? Because I was sharing my results. And so I started helping other people with it. And all of a sudden I was known as the Facebook ads person. So
You embraced it.
yeah. So it's, I like it. No single day is the same. Things change all the time. Like, it's part of the frustration, but also part of the joy that nothing is ever the same. So yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing them for?
9 years.
Wow. So you would have seen some massive changes in that
Yep.
time, not the least of which that goddamn dashboard that we all hate. They still haven't got that right or easy or
No.
simple.
No. And some people have different things as well. Now there's a whole Meta business suite, and I still get confused with things like that when people have done something to their account, and I'm like, I don't know what you've done. Let me look at this. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So in the last 9 or so years, like, have you seen the way small business owners use Facebook and Instagram ads change, or have you seen them embrace them more or less?
The way hasn't really changed. Actually, I'm prepping a podcast episode about this. Oh, I wrote it somewhere recently that the fundamentals actually haven't really changed. But the dashboard has changed. The landscape has changed. Like, it's super busy now in terms of the news feed. Way more advertisers than there were 9 years ago. But the way, at least the people that I work with, the way hasn't really changed that much. I feel like the lead up or the runway is a bit longer now. It's not as easy to just put an ad out, get your leads in, and off you go kind of thing. It's the thing that has in the last few years become more important is to nurture your audience as like off Facebook as well as on Facebook. And I think this is where organic social content comes in as well. So, but overall, I haven't found that it's changed all that much, except for it's gotten busier. And yeah, it's more expensive, but that's because it's busier. So
Yeah. Supply and demand, basic economics, of course. So I know that people that I come across, they're often disappointed in the results they get with their Facebook ads. And For me, if I look at their data and let's just say they're running a traffic ad, and they've got their audience, they've chosen a traffic ad, which basically means they're pointing traffic to somewhere off Facebook, quite often a page on their website or something like that. They set up their audience, they put their budget in, and then they come to me and they say, Jen, I didn't sell anything. My ad didn't work. Just say, for instance, they're selling their course. But when I look at the data, I'm like, the ad worked perfectly. So you told Facebook to find these people who are most likely to click a link to go here. But what didn't work is the sales when they actually got to your website. So it's one of the biggest things that I find that people don't understand where to place the Facebook ad in a funnel or how to actually analyze the results as to whether or not, it worked or it didn't work. Do you have any thoughts or any examples or even any tips around how do you judge whether an ad works or it doesn't work?
Yeah, totally spot on. I think people have very big expectations of Facebook ads.
Mhm.
It's literally a sentence on my website. They are not magic. They are a formula. I really think it comes down to knowing what you want your ad to do and giving it the right objective. Like you said, if you telling it like that it needs to be a traffic ad, that's what it's going to do. It's going to send you traffic. Don't expect sales from a traffic ad. You can get them from a traffic ad, but it's not optimized for that. So think about what you want to do with your ad. If you want it to be sales, make it a conversion ad. But, and this is the thing, again, funnel. People generally don't buy like cold. Like if they have never heard of you and you are sending them to your sales page or even like your product page, they're not going to just click buy. Like most of the time they don't. If it's a low priced product, they might. If it's like, so I recently bought this thing off an ad. It's like this mold remover thing that you squirt along your silicone in like the bathroom. And I was like, oh, because Tasmania, we literally just redone our silicone and our grout a few months later. I'm like, oh, there's mold. I was like, if it doesn't work, that's fine. I've spent like $30. But I'm willing to sort of kind of go, okay, well, it has a lot of good reviews. I will buy it because it's $30. But if you're going to send people to something that's like $200, $300, $400, they're not going to just buy it if they don't know you. So it comes down to where in the funnel does it sit, and this it comes back to the whole nurture side of things that I mentioned earlier. People need to get to know you, so you need to start being visible. You need to get in front of people. Ideally get them on your email list. And this is one of the main things that I do with advertising is advertising for leads, because you need to nurture these people. So I think people just have unrealistic expectations because they see all these things of all these gurus out there going, I've got this many sales with Facebook ads, blah, blah, blah. But there is a whole production behind that, really. Like when my clients have good results, it's because they have been building their audience, they have been nurturing their audience, they are doing something like a launch event, like a webinar or a challenge, like high intensity, like high involvement. Then they sell their stuff. Like only then will they use conversion ads and ads to get people to buy something. So if you have a traffic ad and you send people to your website to buy something, first of all, don't send them just to your homepage, because that's just a waste of money, because you're sending them to your homepage. What do you want them to do?
Confused buyer doesn't buy.
Pretty much. Well, you need to tell them what you want them to do. Like really, people need to be told what to do. But yeah, like there's this whole funnel piece of it. So I think people's expectations are too high in terms of what they're doing. And I don't know if you notice this as well, but I get a lot of people that going, I boosted a post, it did nothing. I'm like, well, no, boosting a post really, it's just easy money for Facebook. There's no strategy behind it. There is like absolutely nothing. But learning to read your results is important as well. So once you do have a bit of a strategy, you need to learn how to read those results. So So are people actually interested and engaged enough with your ad? Like, is your click-through rate over 1%? That means that people are actually interested to click. And then, okay, what's the next step when they get onto your page? Is it a landing page, for example, where people sign up to become a lead? What's the percentage of people that land on there versus the people that sign up to your mailing list? Like each step tells a story. And, I find that the majority of people that complain about the results, it's got nothing to do with Facebook ads. Like you said, when you look at the data, that ad did exactly what it needed to do. It's the rest that isn't performing. So your email marketing funnel might not be performing. Your sales page might not be performing. Don't blame the ads. It's easy to get leads. Honestly, like advertising for leads, I find it's quite easy. It is the next stages, the conversion stage, and that's your funnel. That needs to do the heavy lifting. So sorry, I'll waffle on a bit.
No. And look, I've got a page of notes now of things that we need to backtrack and chat about just from that one conversation or, one paragraph necessarily that you just said. So the first thing I want to tap into is my pet hate. And I know now that it's your pet hate, and that is boosting versus ads. I still don't understand how Facebook can get away with offering the boost. I know one client who has an amazing organic strategy, and she can boost something. She's in she owns a clothing shop, and I know, like, if she gets a new set of beautiful jumpers in, she can boost that post and they will sell out. But that is unusual, and it's because she has such an engaged organic audience is the way she gets away with it. But how they can still be offering both just blows me out of the water, because I feel like we're just contributing to Mark Zuckerberg's next private jet. But can you, in your words, sort of tell us a little bit about boosting versus ads and why you would actually use one or the other?
Yeah, so I honestly think the boost button is just an easy way, and Facebook positions it really well.
They do the rat bags.
Yeah, their marketing works. I think boosting has a place only when you have an audience and that audience is engaged, and you just want that organic post to go a little bit further with your already existing audience. Like there's like virtually no targeting options to get in front of new audiences and that kind of thing. So I feel like it only really works if you already have an audience and you want to make sure, like I don't say like that you're beating the algorithm, like, because you're not really, nobody beats the algorithm, but you just want to get that in front of the people that have said, yes, I want to, I'll follow this person or this brand and I want to see posts from it. So yeah, you do get a little bit of that. In terms of ads, you have so many more opportunities for targeting. I do use posts, like organic posts from my clients, to turn them into ads, but I tend to turn them into engagement ads or reach ads, depending on the strategy. Like if we need to get visible, we might like strategically create a piece of content that could also be organic content. Often we post it as organic content, see how it performs already, and then in a way amplify it with an ad. But you don't boost it because really targeting options are so small. It's only useful for your current audience. We want to get in front of new audiences. So we go in the back end of Ads Manager, and we literally choose the option that says turn post into ad. It's like at the last steps. And you can turn your already organic post into an ad, but you have more options with targeting. So you can also placements, like I'm pretty sure Boost does a few placements as well. Actually, I don't know because I don't use them. But yeah, with ads, you can choose your targeting options. So you can like split it out into lookalike audiences and cold audiences with certain interests, and just have a little bit more control over it. You also get your data comes into your Facebook Ads Manager dashboard. So it sits with all the other data. So you have a better overview. Whereas when you boost, I don't even know where it ends up. I think sometimes it does end up in Ads Manager. But some people don't have things connected properly in the back end either. So then things go missing as well. But in short, honestly, boosting it's too easy for Facebook to get money. And there's not enough options for someone to fully get something out of it. I honestly think that having a proper strategy that sits within a funnel is a better approach.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for going through that for my listener and for me as well. I'm learning already. I love this conversation. Thank you. You've mentioned a couple of times that with your clients you advertise for leads rather than, I'm assuming, advertising for sales or conversion. So advertising for leads, do you use the lead generation? The word objective?
Yeah, the
or
option.
do you use?
Yeah, so there's different options. They've changed it a little bit again.
Bless them.
Like maybe a year ago. So you can use lead forms, which is the infrastructure that Facebook gives you, which means that you build a form inside of Facebook where people put in their email address and then off they go.
Is it hard to get that data out? It used to be really hard to get that data off Facebook.
Yes. You have to.
So it still is.
Use something like Zapier, Zapier to send it, to connect it to your email marketing database. So while it is easier for someone on Facebook to put, because they're not taken off the platform, the back end is a little bit fiddly. There used to be this thing that lead ads were low quality, so a lot of us ads managers didn't bother with them for a long time, and then they made them a little bit better, so we started testing them. I've seen both. I've seen good results with clients and bad results with clients. This is like another thing that we now have to test. Back when they were not working as well, we were like, I won't bother testing that. So now it's more of we'll have to test that. And it doesn't work with things like if you do a webinar and if it's an evergreen webinar and you know how they have it's like a false scarcity kind of thing, like multiple dates or multiple time slots. You can't do any of that with the lead forms. So, and then they've also split out conversion objectives, because it used to be, I think, now, and it's under, I would have to look, but there's two parts of engagement. Two parts of conversion. One of them is sales conversions and purchase conversions. And the other one's like lead conversions, where it used to be different as well. But when I advertise for leads with clients, generally they build the forms on their own landing pages. We send
traffic ad?
No, it's a conversion ad.
Conversion ad. Okay.
But it's not a lead. It's confusing, right? It's not a lead ad where you use the lead tool, but it is a conversion ad for leads, but you use the person's website.
Yeah, right. Interesting. And and so then, and we're talking about funnels here, so you've done a lead ad. Are you trying to get cold traffic in a lead ad? Like, is that the objective, that you're looking at cold traffic, or are you still trying to target, I guess lookalike audiences and your own audience type of thing?
Most of the time lookalike and cold. We can do a little bit of warm, and I like, sometimes we do this as well. We run some engagement ads to get in front of some new audiences, and we classify that as warm, even though they've only kind of seen some posts. So we do that, but most of the times it's cold and lookalike. And I want to put in here, this is mostly for people who are service-based or course-based or like coaching. E-commerce tend to go straight to sales, to conversions, unless it is a very high ticket kind of item. Like, for example, I've worked with like someone who did very bespoke jewelry, and like the pieces are like high 3 to 4 figures, not something that you would just like buy straight from an ad. So there's some warm up and some nurturing involved. So we would run a different kind of strategy, not straight to conversions, because
Yeah.
you're not going to just drop $1,000 on a piece of jewelry if you've never seen the brand.
No. But just like you bought that cleaner, like I'll buy a candle from someone I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, that candle, it's wattle. Oh, wattle's my favorite flower in the world. I'll buy the wattle candle. Oh, and by the way, is it Australian? Where is this person? Blah, blah, blah. But that's not my first instinct, as opposed to buying a course or buying a program or, buying something worth a couple of $100s. So yeah, e-commerce is a little bit different. So thank you for giving that distinction to my listener, just in case that, they're service-based or e-commerce, to kind of get that. So I'm interested in where the ad would sit. Like, again, if we take this advertising for leads, so you've got the person, they've filled out the lead form on your website, and then obviously we're putting them into an email funnel.
Yeah, you would put them into, I would say, a specific funnel that's created for this type of lead. Like, I wouldn't put them in your like overall
your welcome sequence
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Like,
So this is where we're hoping to make the sale, in the email.
sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on whether or not you're launch-based, evergreen-based, is like, all these different things. So a lot of people, when they are launch-based, they don't grow their list with ads until they do a launch. I kind of go against that a little bit. I think you should always be growing your list, and the best way to do that is to run ads continuously to a number of different lead magnets. One, it keeps your ad account warm with Facebook. It also gives you a better idea of what, like sort of like the seasons of, because if you don't launch for a while and then you rely on your results from the last launch, thinking that you're going to get the same launch, but it's like a different season, things would have changed again, your ad account needs a bit of warming up again, and like you might get disappointed sometimes. So I feel like if people leave a big gap between launches, it's really hard to tell when the good advertising periods are. Besides, if someone in your industry is launching at the same time, and you can't tell that, like, you don't know that until you start your launch. You just kind of like, if you're relying on that specific time period to bring in all your leads, sometimes that, you might get a bit disappointed.
I guess it's like anything. It's like anything else, though, isn't it? Like, if you don't email people for 3 months, it's going to take a little bit longer to warm up that email list again than if you are consistently emailing them fortnightly, monthly, or weekly, and then go in for the sale type of thing. There's been a lot of nurture in between, the asking for the sales. So ad accounts are probably no different, except we're actually paying for an ad to sit there and run, which is a perfect segue into budgets. This is where so many people that I come across are kind of like, what do I put in as a budget? And so I guess to start with, if we look at an ad that is a lead generation ad that is just, say that's something we want to run, let's go 12 months of the year. What sort of budget do you think that we should be putting, or what do you see other people doing? I won't ask you specifically, but what would you sort of see of an ad that we just want to tick over there and continually be building our email list as it goes?
Yeah, it really depends on really what your goals are. And the first thing is that you need to know your numbers. So it's kind of like reverse engineering. It's like, okay, well, how many sales do you want to make? How many leads do you need for that? What's the cost of your product? How much can you afford to pay for a lead? It kind of like, it's literally like reverse engineering. And sometimes you have very little control over that. Like, I work with launch clients, and yes, they are building their audiences all throughout the year. And then they go really hard on, for example, like a webinar ad. If for a launch, you wouldn't run that too far out. Like, we kind of go between 10 to 14 days, usually 14 to test, 3-4 days, and then go hard for 10 days. Because too far out, people are going to forget that they booked in for this webinar. They're not going to rock up, that kind of thing. So you go hard for that period, you have a higher budget. and you just have to kind of go, okay, well, normally my leads are X, or I'm willing to spend, and you have to be realistic. Like for a lot of webinar clients, it tends to be like $10 a lead. So like it's a little bit reverse engineering. It's like, okay, well, what's your sign up goal? What can you stretch your budget to be? And then, what's the cost per lead in terms of, like it also depends on the type of lead magnet. Like I said, webinars, they're more expensive generally, but they're also more involved and have a higher conversion rate. Whereas if someone signs up for like a PDF guide, generally the lead cost is lower, but there's no like live involvement. It's like, they could just be filing it into their digital bookshelf and not look at it again. So it really depends on the type of lead magnet, all your other numbers, like your launch, your goals, how much you want to sell. Sometimes you don't have to keep list building. Like at the moment, I have one of my clients, we're not running any list building ads, but we're running a quite intricate kind of visibility, authority, and nurturing kind of strategy. So it's just, I think it's like $2 a day for this ad, but it's literally amplifying some of the organic content. Just sort of kind of go, hey, this is me, this is what I do, and it's layered. It keeps showing up. So it's like, I don't know, there might be like 5 ads at like $2 a day that they get shown for 30 days. And then the next 30 days, they get shown another type of ad at $2 a day. And then because there's exclusions and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be high. I think I'm running mine at the moment for about $15 a day, which gives me a trickle of leads every day. But at least like it's going, rather than me just putting in all my eggs in the organic basket and all my time in the organic basket. I like to I don't know, I like to speed things up a little bit, even though it's like it's a trickle, but it's a bit more of a predictable trickle than me showing up for reels every day. So
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. Like there's so many small business owners out there that are just afraid to spend money on their marketing. And I guess they've been given the gift of organic, such as social media and even like, email. You can sign up to something like MailChimp and get 500 contacts before you have to pay anything. Not that, MailChimp are all that great at deliverability, but that's a different conversation. So there is so many opportunities to do marketing for free, and it kind of takes away that it's okay. It's okay to spend some money on marketing, which, if you want to speed up the process, like you're saying, which is a great point.
I was going to say, is it free, really? I mean, how much money would you put on your time? Like my time is completely precious. I have a kid in kinder, a kid in daycare. I have a set number of hours every week that I can work. I would rather just spend a few dollars on Facebook ads, and I know it's going to give me leads, than
Quality leads.
Quality leads, then spend time making reels and then crossing my fingers that it's actually going to get in front of the right people. Like I still would create a reel, but then I would put some money behind that reel to make sure it actually gets seen by some people. I just don't it's yes, free marketing, great. Is it really free is usually my question. And I like to be slightly more in control. And I just put some dollars behind it, even if it, like at the moment, it gives me a trickle of people going into my mailing list, but I can nurture them. And I have people that buy from me like 2 years later. It seems crazy, but they might not be quite ready at that stage. I just keep nurturing them, and at some point they will buy. So
I've had people on my email. I've had people on my email list for 4 and 5 years that have just all of a sudden become purchasers, but they've just been there in the background. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, is my theory.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about ads. We've hit some really great points, which I've really appreciated. But they are a little bit confusing if you haven't done one before, or you haven't done one for a long time. So, and you do ads for other people. So how do we know if we're ready to outsource ads, what should and shouldn't we be doing? And when it comes to outsourcing, I have very strong opinions on
Same.
outsourcing marketing,
Yeah.
and this is a part of marketing. So can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, the pros and cons of outsourcing something like this?
Yeah. So generally, there's two camps. One, if your product price is too low, don't outsource, because you won't get any return. It's just it's a simple maths. Like, you pay an ads manager, you've got your ads budget. If your product price is too low, so for example, if I don't take on anyone with a course under $1,000, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 if it's like a membership and they know what their lifetime value is. Like, this is the thing, you need to really know all of your numbers. Another thing is, I am of the opinion that you shouldn't outsource your ads unless you actually know what's involved. So I recommend that you run them yourself first, even if you don't want to, but then at least you know what is involved. If you really don't want to do that, you can't outsource. Well, you can. You shouldn't outsource your ads if it's like a brand new funnel, because it's untested, if you don't know if it's going to sell. So you need to at least run a few rounds before you outsource. Then when you do outsource, you start with ads. You need to know that cold audiences and lookalike audiences perform differently to warm audiences. So if you launch a course, for example, and you do like 2 or 3 launches and you get really high conversion rates, that's really awesome, because you have organically attracted those people. They tend to be slightly warmer than when you randomly get, it's not randomly, like you get people from ads, they perform differently. They really do perform differently, but there's only so much you can do growing organically. At some point, you need more traffic, you need more leads, and the organic road is really long and slow, but they tend to be the first few rounds. You kind of get those hardcore people that have found you, that are like really into you. And then when you start running ads, they are the right people, but I don't know, they're not as warm yet. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, once you start your ads, you'll do launches with ads, you'll see a lower conversion rate. And it's not because you got bad leads or anything like that. It's just they're just in a different caliber. People that have found you organically versus ads are a little bit different. It can just take a longer warm-up period. My biggest pet hate is when people advertise when they're not ready, and then they either blame the ads for not working, or they blame the ads manager for not doing a good job. And this is where I also don't like certain ads managers. I know, it's like getting on my high horse here. If you take on the wrong client, you get the wrong results. Sorry, my dog's drinking his water in the background. But yeah, if you take on the wrong client that is not ready for ads, one, it's super hard as an ad manager to run ads for something that's untested and unproven, or not quite there yet. And two, the client is going to be disappointed because like things are just not ready and not, sorry, I get really, really ranty about this. But yeah, you need to have basically your foundations in place. And this is why I have something called Facebook Ads Prep School, which is like a little mini course that literally teaches, like, it's got nothing to do with ads. It teaches everything that you need to have ready before you spend money on
Love
ads.
that. That's a great thing.
Yeah, because there's so many parts that you need to have ready first. And then once you have that, once it's proven, aka you have sold it and you know exactly what, each step of the funnel, what your conversion rate is. You need to know what your landing page, how many people are going to sign up, like the percentage, every single email, what's the open rate. And then your sales page, like if you send 1,000 people to that sales page, warm people, not cold people, how many people are going to like buy from you, and you need to be able to know this and almost predict this. Like I said, Facebook ads is not magic, it's a formula. Like it's literally, if you know your numbers, you can predict the outcome in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see why just in this discussion. And like, I've done hundreds of Facebook ads, but I can see why it's confusing to people, because a lot of small business owners, and I don't mean to rat on small business owners, but the reality is that's who we're talking to, are kind of like, I need more sales, I'll do an ad.
Yeah.
Whereas, what you're saying is there's, you've got to look at your pre-work, you've got to look at your numbers, you've got to look at, everything else holistically, and then go, okay, in order to say whether the ad is successful or not. Sometimes maybe you just need to run an ad to see what it's like in there, get in there, go through the dashboard, have a play, put a small budget towards it and go, okay, now I kind of know what happens inside there. I can use that information before I actually go and spend big money on ads. Yes. So I think
I tell
both things are true.
Exactly. I do tell people that, like, if you do ads for the first time, your first few rounds are in a way, like if your funnel is not entirely tested and proven, the first few round of ads are market research data. So, which is great, because in a way you are speeding up that process. So yes, you can do the organic thing. And usually that takes longer. If you're impatient like me, just spend some money and you have some market research data. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to put in like $500, and that's a lot for a lot of people, for small business owners, like maybe $200. And I'm going to put a conversion ad in to get leads on my landing page. And then I'm going to see, like, is this ad performing? AKA, is more than 1% clicking through, like link click-through rates? And then is my landing page performing? Is my landing page, like, what's the opt-in rate on it? Like some people say 30%. It depends on the industry. Like for one of our clients, we just can't get it over 36%. Like we've tested probably 20 different versions. And it's like no variations. Whereas like for my own, sometimes I get like 60% conversion rate on my landing pages. Like it's just, you can't tell. So test a few different ones. And then measure every step. Like you can't expect to kind of, if you get like 50 leads and you get no sales, don't make that you're not, like your funnel isn't working. It literally means you haven't got enough traffic. You really want to have at least 1,000 people go through something before you can sort of make some sort of decision on your data. Because
that's really interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting to sort of look at it that way, rather than throwing your hands in there and say, nope, didn't work. 50 people and no one bought, or 50 people and no one signed up, or something like that. So that's a really good data point. Thank you.
Not enough. Yeah, not enough data. Same with e-commerce. So with e-commerce, you wouldn't need all this funnel, but you still need conversion rates. Like, for example, when I was working with e-commerce clients, I would not take on anyone who had less than 2% conversion rate, like as in across the board. Like I would say, for the last 6 months, have you had more than 2% conversion rate? And also look at how much traffic their site had, because that's another thing. If you're not getting enough traffic, like we just said, like if you've only had 50 people and nobody bought, that's not a big enough sample size. So with e-course sales, it's like 1 to 3% converts. So this is why I'm saying you need at least 1,000 people like going through your entire funnel. And it's the same with e-commerce. Like 2% is a good conversion rate for e-commerce. Well, you got to think about that. Like to get 2%, you need to send like a decent amount of traffic to your site every month to be able to get that kind of conversion rate. So don't look at small numbers and like make any kind of decisions based on that. Small
numbers, big decisions don't equal each other. So yes. All right. Beautiful. Bianca, this has been such a great chat. Thank you so much for giving your time and talking about Facebook and Instagram ads. I think it is a bit of a jungle for so many people, but hopefully, my listeners taking away one thing, take away two things from this, and then maybe it's a podcast interview they should listen to a couple of times just to get everything that you've shared here today. Any final thoughts? Any thing that we haven't sort of touched on, like that number one thing or something before we take off?
Yeah, well, the number one thing I keep repeating is Facebook ads amplify. So whatever is already happening in your business, it's going to amplify that. So if it's converting, you can convert more, you can scale. If it's not, I always say Facebook ads not going to fix your business. It's like if there's zero conversions, it's only going to amplify that. Obviously, it needs to have enough traffic for that. But yeah, it amplifies as long as you remember that. And this is how a lot of businesses do so well with Facebook ads, because they figure out all these foundations first and then they amplify it. So.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you. If my audience wants to get in touch, where's the best place to check you out and check out your mini courses and things like that?
BiancaMcKenzie.com, and that's MCK McKenzie.
Beautiful. I will have that link in the show notes. Is there a particular social media platform you like to hang out on the most?
I'm playing with Threads at the moment.
Wow. Awesome. Very good.
But yeah,
yes.
I do have Instagram as well, and I have Facebook, but I don't hang out there that often. Like I said, I cheat. I just put my money behind it rather than my time.
Oh dear. So if you see one of Bianca's ads, you'll be able to put a comment there. It's like, oh, I heard you on the podcast saying you were doing just that. So that's really good. I guess practice what you preach, which is wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been gold. This has been such a great chat. And can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Bianca made so much sense with everything she talked about and explained when it comes to Facebook ads. I loved how she shared stories about her clients, but she also opened up about her own business and what's working and what's not working and what she sees on the horizon and maybe what's changed since you last tried to do a Facebook ad. I really hope you enjoyed my chat with her too. Of course, you can find everything, all the links to Bianca's socials and website in the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/264. But that's it for episode 264. If you loved this episode and found it valuable, a couple of things I would love you to do. A, if you can take 30 seconds and leave me a rating and a review where you are listening to this podcast, if that is possible. B, go and check out Bianca's podcast as well. It was called The New School of Marketing. Go and listen to hers and leave her a rating and review as well. Of course, it's a goal of mine to reach more people with this podcast, so I would love for you to leave a rating and review for me to help me achieve that. I will see you next week back here for episode 265. Remember to go and check out my November edition of my 4-week email marketing program. There's room for you if email is something that you want to get right for 2024. The link, of course, is in the show notes. But look, if we aren't hanging out on social already, if we aren't social on social, please come and find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, wherever you hang out. There's every chance I'm hanging out there too. But anyway, whatever you do, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.